Good evening, Knicks Nation. Welcome to another edition of Knicks Dreams Sky Hoops. This is your boy, The Dream. We're going to be kicking the show off today. We got solo for the next half hour. Maybe some of our guys will join us. Maybe they won't. They're a little busy right now, trying on uniforms. So I made them run a couple extra laps for being late, but that's what we do. So for the next half hour, it's just me, you, your mama, and your cousin too. Shout out to my Dungeon Family fans. So basically, I want to start out the show. How do you want to go? We want to congratulate our boys on a hard-fought win against Philadelphia. I think that was a good barometer. An early, a game against a tough team that, I don't want to say we struggle against. We've just lost to them flat out last 15 times we played them. And some of them have been better outings by us, but some of them haven't been. So, it's good to get off that schneid finally and get back on the winning ways against them. Even if it's just one, you got to start building them up one by one. So, good early test against a division rival. We need to start stacking these wins up against the division because it's projected that we're going to be basically average against the division, like 9 and 11. I think we played 20 games against the division. So far, we got two of those in the W. So that's a good way to start. As far as Philly and what they're going through a little bit of a transition with their team. All their stars are not in place. They're not even really aligned on the offensive end and definitely on the defensive end because they kind of let us go up and down and we got hot on them for a little bit. So basically, we had a little bit of that going on. We got the Chicago game to look forward to. I'm really excited. Another big test, another team that added a lot of young stars, firepower. Everybody's excited about them. People are talking about they're not going to sneak up on anybody, but I don't think they're really sneaking up on anybody. If you kind of follow what they were doing last year, they added some Vucevic, I think, at the trading deadline. So that's another player that they're not really talking too much about. Everybody's making a big noise about, DeRozan and Lonzo Ball getting in there and helping out Zach LaVine and get that whole team kickstarted for this season. I do think that they will make a drastic move up the standings. I think they finished like 11th or 12th last year. I don't think they'll surpass the Knicks or a team like Miami, who also will be making a jump. But I think they'll be right in that mix, and it's definitely one of the teams that New York needs to stay lock and step with. Miami's going to be moving. We should be hanging around that same thing. We don't want to get bumped down too much, and Chicago will also be moving. So coming up with the game tonight, I see MK Tiller dropping in the chat. Appreciate it. Feeling the Knicks are going to win tonight. Yes, they are. That's right. Tend to play better. All right. So that's what we got. We can be moving forward with that. As far as Chicago goes, they started out the season 4-0. Me personally, I don't pull the brakes on that just because everybody is making a big deal that they're undefeated right now. They haven't really played anybody really special that I feel. They played a couple of games against Detroit, which is the bottom feeder of the league right now. Another game against New Orleans, who's basically right above that, the bottom feeder of the league, and another game against Toronto, who's still trying to find their way back to the glory they found a couple of years ago. That being said, how much of a test have they really, faced? Because they played these bottom feeder teams, their stats look really good. The offensive stats look decent, and their defensive stats, I think they're like second in the league or something like that, with some like 95, 97 points a game allowed is something crazy. But they haven't really played anybody, so you expect those numbers to be that way. The Knicks' defensive numbers should be coming back. Back down to earth. That first game that we played against Boston really did a little damage number-wise, but overall, the entirety of the four games that we played so far, our defense has been doing okay. Not great. We're used to a great defense. It will develop. We'll get back some of our pieces, and other guys will be in the roles that they're used to playing in. Sometimes we get these guys out of position still, or coming in earlier in the rotation than they normally would. As far as the Knicks go, they're 3-1. We dropped that game against Orlando. I mean, it happens to us sometimes. Sometimes we get upset about that. It's not a game that we particularly want to drop. For some reason, Orlando's a team we always tend to split with. But the disappointing part of it is that they're a young team trying to find their way. And a lot of those guys are just new in the league, or their first or second year in the league, and basically just trying to get going with what they're going to be establishing themselves to be going forward. Get back in the playoffs, those type of things. Same thing the Knicks were going through no more than a year or two ago. So that being said, we have the matchup. Chicago. What I will give them is that they are top heavy, even with all those stars and stuff like that. their bench is not that great. So what they do have is their starting five puts up about 81 points a game, and that's pretty potent coming out of the starting five. Then the Knicks, along the same lines, put up 76. So we do have a couple of points we need to make up here and there, but the bench scoring, if we bring our bench the way our bench normally comes to play, that was our advantage basically all of last year. So we have to get back to that being our advantage, along with the additions that we made on the offensive end as far as the starters go. Outside of that, we should be okay. We're putting up 76, so that's pretty decent in itself. But I still feel like we're leaving a lot of points on the table from time to time. We have guys get hot from time to time, but overall, I think once they start to play 10, 20, 30 games together, you'll start to see even better flow of the offense. So that's exciting. What else do we have here? As far as the points per game output, the Knicks have been doing pretty well. I mean, we made those additions. Scoring wasn't really our thing last year. We hung around the bottom 100 of the league, points per game wise. And by the end of the season, we got it up to about 105. Nothing great. Still, it's still the bottom of the league, but for us, at least we were making an addition. Hold on a second. I got some guys trying to jump in here. All right, we got Bill Shadamis up in the house.
What's going
ESQ.
on?
How you doing, sir? How you doing?
I'm good. I didn't even know that I didn't realize I didn't get the message. My daughter just messaged me, told me, get on the show.
Yeah. Well, I was
What's
trying to
going
hang on
on?
to see. Yeah, no, not too bad, not too bad. Just talking about basically, little half hour quick setup for the game, and talking about just gave a congratulations to our team on the Philadelphia win, and talked a little bit about that, and I'm just rolling into what we have expected for tonight as far as Chicago goes. I basically just talked about their 4-0 being a little suspect because they beat some bottom feeders in the league, even though they have a good team put together. And outside of that, I was just throwing some numbers out there. So if you have anything you want to dive in, behind the back pass, ESQ.
Well, I'm looking forward to a good game,
Yeah,
basically, because the Bulls, like you said, they got 4 wins, but 2 of them, I believe, were against like maybe Detroit or something like
Detroit.
that.
Uh-huh.
And the other 2 weren't, they
Nothing
weren't
to
the top
write
teams.
home about.
They weren't the top rated teams.
Yeah,
However, we beat one of the top ranked teams in
yeah,
Philadelphia. So,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to a good game. They changed their roster, and they have
yeah,
a much better roster than they did last season.
yeah,
So, but I think we can get them. We can
yeah,
get them.
yeah, yeah.
We got the tools. We have Mitch is bulked up, so their big man. Who's their big? They have a good big man. Who's that? Is it Valanciunas?
Vucevic.
Vucevic. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a good big man. So Mitch is going to hang tough with him, and
Mm-hmm.
then we just got to hope that or that our shooting is on, like
Yeah,
Kemba,
yeah.
uh, the Eiffel Shower,
The Eiffel
uh,
Shower. Yeah.
Quick,
Mm-hmm.
Burks,
Yeah,
Rose, all of those guys been RJ
yeah,
been
yeah,
pretty good dropping the 3 ball. And as long as we keep our defense up, because that's the problem with them. Their
yeah,
defense is not as good as ours. Their defense, and I'm reading and seeing where they get beat off the they don't have good pick and roll defense.
okay, good.
So we need to take advantage of that. If
Yeah,
we
yeah.
take advantage of that, move the ball around, no hero ball, and we can walk out of there with the dub.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I agree. And hero ball is important that you said, because that's what we kind of got locked into a little bit with
Yeah,
Orlando. Right? In that game against Orlando, I felt like Sunday night, it was like, okay, you take it and you go make a move and try to get a bucket. Or you
right.
take it and you go get it. And the ball movement wasn't doing anything. It wasn't like the first couple of games where we were like, wow, okay, they're moving the ball to get to the open spot, and actually sometimes overpassing. That was like not enough passing in that game. So
Right.
yeah, I had mentioned like so Chicago, I ran into somebody in the gas station. They just had a whole conversation for me about Chicago. So the problem with their team is not only did they not really play anybody yet, but they're also very top heavy in talent. Like their starting five is is something to write home about, but their bench is not
But then
really.
their bench, right,
Yeah, the
right.
bench falls apart. So if we just bring our advantage, which last year was the bench, right? Because our starting five was struggling to score, but even though it was potent, but the bench was the reason we won a lot of games and caught a lot of teams off guard. So we need to bring that to the table and reestablish that as one of our strengths, along with the weapons that we added on the offense. So
Absolutely.
because I mentioned like they score their starting five puts up 81 points a game. That's heavy, heavy, heavy points out of your starting five.
That
But
is.
ours puts up 76. So that's that's
Okay.
nothing to sneeze about either. Yeah, we are
But
putting
then
up
our
points.
bench,
And
but I'm sure
yeah,
our bench outscores them by more than 9. Their
we're gonna
bench.
need that. We're gonna need that.
Right.
We're gonna need the bench to outscore them by more than 9. And so I'm excited because this is another test of the guards that last couple of games we've been getting beat on dribble penetration a lot, right? And
Yep.
then trying to make up for it on the defensive end. The things that have been carrying us is that we've been bombing away threes, 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 threes. So that keeps us in the game and covers up a lot of these other defensive mistakes that we might allow. But we'll see how it goes. They're definitely going to be dribble driving today, and and so our defense for that is probably a good 3 game today. Also,
Right.
I don't think they've played anybody right now. We're scoring about almost 119 a game. And I'm not sure that any of the teams that they played are pumping that kind of offensive efficiency out. So this will be a good test for them too. They need to find out what they really have. And so that's what we're their bar and they're our bar. Early in the season, and if it wasn't for that little bit of letdown on Sunday, this could be 2 undefeated teams going head to head right now.
Right.
So I'm excited. I don't think everything hangs totally on this game, whether we win or lose. I want to see performance. Come out, play a
Exactly.
solid game.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Don't all of a sudden get blown out by this team when you showed well against Boston, who has a couple of stars themselves, and against those tall guys and the strength of Philadelphia. Even though they didn't have Ben Simmons, they still have a solid team over there.
Absolutely. They're still considered one of the top teams in the East. They're probably the 3rd team in the East.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're considered to be.
yeah.
However, and I'm going to go back to what you said about the Bulls scoring, their starters scoring 80.
Hmm.
Our job is to stop that.
Yeah,
Our job will be to hold their starters under 80 points.
yeah,
And why not? Why can't we? I
yeah.
don't
No,
I don't see why we can't do it.
it makes sense.
Forgive me, but I'm driving and I'm
No
driving in the
problem.
Bronx, and that's almost like driving on the Autobahn.
Yeah, I just came back from Yonkers, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I was on the Autobahn. I was taking the Sawmill. It was the wet Autobahn. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So that's not too bad. I had H2O. I jumped in for a little bit early on, but he had stepped off. He had to go to a meeting and stuff. But you know, outside of that, I'm excited for this game. I do have them winning this game. I also have to win in the next game. Because I did it in little blocks. We were talking about breaking the season up into these short, 10 games here and 10
10-game
games
block.
there. Yeah, so I did it. I did it. Some of them ended up a little bit better than others. Basically, I broke it up like 6 at a time, kind of. So I had this team going 5-1 in their first 6 games. So that's still a possibility. That's why I wasn't so beat up about the Orlando, because we made up with it with the Philly win. But outside of that, we should be formidable, going forward and throughout the season. And that begins, partially tonight. Showing good against good teams that other people expect to be good also. You know?
Okay, listen, Dream. I have to jump off, but I'm going to jump back on. I'm
No problem.
I'm parking, and once I get up in the crib, then I'll jump back on.
All right, no problem.
All right.
All right.
I'll be back.
All right.
Keep it going because I'm listening.
I got you. All right. So that was ESQ. You got it first. So we're excited. Like I said, I would obviously like to see some of the young guys get a little bit of burn. I know right now they're still trying to figure out the new additions to the team, plus the guys that were here last year, and they're trying to basically get their feet underneath them. Is the idea. I ended up going myself with a couple of guys to the first preseason game, and they overpassed a little bit, but you can see that they desperately did try to look out for each other and look for each other, out of pick and roll, out of spot shooting, all of that stuff. So it will be there. These guys will continue to try and get it going. Like I said, here and there, they're leaving some points up on the table. But mostly, if they just keep up that defensive intensity, the offense will definitely kick back in gear. And I mean, we've already added basically almost 14 points a game from last year. So it's always important to do that. We always tried to find ways to do that last year. And one of the guys we definitely added this year, who we talked about even adding last year at the trade deadline, was our guy. We're going to call him. I don't know if you guys heard the other broadcast. He alluded to it a little bit earlier. We like his rain game. We're going to call him the Eiffel Shower. And basically, Evan Fournier has really come to play. I would have loved to trade for him last year. He ended up going to Boston to try to help them out a little bit. But in the end, we did end up adding him to our squad. Initially, it looked like he was going to add, I don't know, 5 to 10 points more. And it's looking more on the 10-point range, more than Bullock was giving us. Bullock is a better defender, but these outside shots is opening up the floor a little bit more. He's more consistent 3-point shooter. He's probably just a little bit better player overall, I would say, aside from the defensive. Because Reggie Bullock has that high defensive aptitude, but it's not like Fournier is going to be lacking anything. So outside of that, Kemba's bringing his thing. I do like the fact, and I expect at some point they're going to have to go to more of a 3-guard rotation to keep both Kemba and Rose fresh enough throughout the entire season. Because I don't. They're too important. We saw what happened last year with Peyton going down, Rose having to go into the starting lineup, and then it just trickled down effect, and everything fell apart towards the end of the season, where we almost didn't even recognize this team once they got to the playoffs. They were a shell of themselves. We had Noel going down, Gibson, a whole bunch of guys left and right, Robinson. So hopefully we figure out a way to keep these guys healthy. They all came back looking stronger, playing stronger, and more aggressive. And then you add the shooting, which is just working wonders for us. So it's a beautiful thing all around. And, this is what we've been waiting for the entire time. So outside of that, I'm going to roll over. I think some of these guys are coming back through soon from doing their laps. We have anything out there? I need Coach to trust quickly and give him some more minutes. Okay, MK, I'm with you. Quickly is an enigma at this point. Like they keep trying to shift his position, shooting guard, point guard. They're not exactly sure. Now you have these new additions to the team. It shouldn't really throw him off. I think. So the fact that Obi also came back highly productive and a better player. And he's actually taken that from Summer League and transferred it right back into the regular season. Hold on 1 second, what we add one more time. So while he's been able to take that from Summer League and take it right into the season and not really have any fallback, quickly is kind of like figuring his way. Because we have all these new shooters and they're taking up some of the space that he used to take up on the floor, he seems a little stuck in between what he wants to do and what the Knicks plan for him is going to be. Like, is it more of the point guard or more of the shooting guard? Because now we not only added those type of players, but we also drafted those type of players. So we don't want to get him lost in what his role is going to be. And I assume that he's not really going to get lost. But I think in the end, he just needs to be confident in what he brings to the table. If it's going to be those long range shots once in a while, just don't get caught in between, like go and do it. And they've eliminated all those ticky tack fouls on the outside, all those players that used to get fouls like that, running into players or jumping into them and stuff. That's kind of being eliminated out of the game this year. The refs are calling it differently, and a lot of players are having to make adjustments to that. Some players have easily made adjustments and not been too much of an issue. Like Trae Young has been able to make that adjustment. But I watched a little bit of Brooklyn yesterday, and not to get too much on that, on Harden, but he's trying to do those things and he hasn't made the adjustments, and the refs are making the adjustments for him, basically saying, no, we're not going to give you those calls. So it's a little struggle. He's trying to come back from injury as well, but he's one of those players that basically always tries to get those ticky tack fouls or get you in the air and bounce into you kind of thing and go to the free throw line a lot. This year you have to earn it. They're not just going to give you those quick little bump and runs. And, what was this? Hardest meal ticket. That was hardest meal ticket. That's hilarious. So, so we'll see what happens. There's still a little bit of rumblings that Morey in Philadelphia is really trying to get his hands on Harden because he had him in Houston and he had a certain style and built the whole team around him. But I'm not sure. I think he'll figure it out with Kevin Durant, and I think this is a contract year for Harden. Maybe I think so, but we'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Right now, I'm just gonna stay on the Knicks and stay excited with what they bring to the table. They keep rotating this jersey back here, this little 6. Hopefully, this guy gets in and starts rocking a little bit. I know a lot of people like his sweet shot, and they say it's similar to this other guy here, number 20. But we'll see what Grimes and guys like McBride and ultimately Sims will bring to the table. I know we're all super excited about the potential that they all show individually and individually as their skills. We all keep saying anytime there's a fast young guard, take McBride and throw him on there, and see what he can do. So we'll see what the Knicks overall try to do with him and what Tibbs' plan is going to be for any of those guys if he plans to play them, some kind of minutes and get them some burn this season so that they get acquainted with what it's like to be in an NBA setting. Like these guys all coming out of college here and there. Led their teams, didn't lead their teams. I think Grimes was probably the one that probably gave the most offensive output. But McBride was a crucial part of what his team was trying to do, and he's going to be a crucial part at some point of what we're trying to do because our guards, as skilled as they are on the offensive end, lack a little bit of fresh legs on the defensive end, or young legs, I should say. Because they're all late 30s. So that's a good way. Burks is going to be instrumental to that this year, and I would like to. We all on the side talk about McBride being also instrumental to the defensive end. Um, on offense, we keep circling back around to it. It's Kemba, and it's going to be Fournier. With their extra added offensive output, along with what Randall is bringing back. Again, he's bringing back his double-double, his 25 and 10. And another guy who's kind of getting lost a little bit out there is Barrett. He still hasn't figured out not to get backdoored for some reason. He just every time he gets close to a player, they just backdoor him real quick. So I want to say some games he shows a little bit better on the defensive end, but overall, I still would like to see a little bit more improvement. And I came into the season kind of excited for him because I figured the pressure would be relieved off of him to be like a secondary star. He can be one of a couple of secondary stars we have behind Randall, and it's good to constantly have that. We have like 3 or 4 guys that can play around the same way. Fournier, Rose, Kemba. I throw them all in the same bucket as savvy veterans who can get their shot off at any point. Barrett needs to learn from that. With these additional outside shooters, it should open up the hole for him. Is one of his strengths, really. Driving. He just needs to go all the way into the hole. He does this like half-hearted drive sometimes, and then fades back for the layups. And I wish he would just take it and drive through somebody for a layup from time to time. Nick Pride, yes sir. Salute to you. So and outside of that, we'll be okay. Like we went through so many years of bad drafts and bad additions and older players that were on their way out that didn't really care to bring the pride back to New York. And it's nice to finally take a deep breath and be able to watch games past halftime, past Christmas. How many times, how many years did season's over, it's Christmas and the season's over. Nobody wants to watch the Knicks on Christmas because you're going to get blown out by 20. It's sad, So I'm happy to be past that point, or it seems like we'll be past that point because we have enough weapons now to keep us in most games. And, that's pretty much what we got. What do we got is. How dare they compare this team to the next? There we go. So, who did the Bulls beat? Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's early in the season, and competition is going to be tricky because a lot of teams are still trying to figure out themselves. But in general, yes, I agree. Like, who have they beaten? They haven't beaten anybody, beaten bottom feeders. And we used to be one of those bottom feeders that people would come around and beat up on, and then talk about, yeah, we're 4-0 and we played the Knicks twice. And it's not going to work that way anymore. And the same thing with us. We could have done the same thing. We could have been 4-0, right? If we didn't have a little bit of defensive lapse in the Orlando game, or take them lightly. They were a bunch of young kids that just trying to figure out their way. Of course, they're going to come down and try to steal a W, from us in our house, but we let them in the end, is what happened with that. But outside of that, going forward, I'm kind of glad that happened early, because then it gives Tibbs a chance to go back and say, look, this is what happens if you don't keep up that intensity the entire time, you know? So, I don't expect when we start to play, I don't know, the Detroits of the world, I guess, and give me their schedule. Honestly, we do have New Orleans coming up. I expect us to get a W against New Orleans too, because, like I said, there's a lot of young teams that are trying to figure their ways. So we need to catch them early. And even the older teams that have their good stars, bring them on too. I'll take Brooklyn right now without Kyrie and Harden still trying to figure his way. I'll let Durant go off and we can take the rest. The thing about the Knicks is that we have two good units. We have our starting five is solid. I wouldn't say it's great, but I would say it's solid. Right, it's going to compete with most teams on most nights, and the bench is going to take over and come out and outscore the other team's bench. So they'll actually give us a little bit of plus to our starters, in addition to just playing better and being able to score. So that being said, I think we're about to roll. What do we got here? 7:48. We got a few minutes left. Before I get myself ready, sit down and yell at the TV for a little bit. So, I'll go into some of the score. I think the Knicks give them a good battle. I think right off the bat, we might have something like a 35-32 first quarter. I'm not sure which team is leading. Second quarter, going to be a little bit tighter. And in the third and fourth quarter, I think it's just going to be offensive type of game. I do think the Knicks win this game, but I also do think that this game also goes to overtime, similar to the Boston game. Teams just going back and forth, back and forth. A couple of mistakes made, a couple of good plays made. In the end, it comes down to a bucket that ties it, sends it into overtime, and then overtime just plays itself out. So I think the Knicks could pull out a nice victory tonight, somewhere around 121, 117 range, something of that nature. We talked a little bit about it last time on the last podcast with some of the guys. And a guy that comes in, Bugs, he also predicted that the Knicks could win tonight against Chicago. So I told them that day, and I'm going to say it again. Bugs, I'm with you in the W bandwagon. Let's get it. It's another time for the Knicks to show out that they are already going to be somebody to compete with this year. It's not going to be a rollover or see what we got. This is a statement game. Very much is a statement game, just like the Philadelphia game was a statement game. The Boston game was a statement game. The Orlando games, I just toss them out because they're a team in transition, trying to find themselves again. But statement game, yes, absolutely. A lot of these are going to be statement games for us. Even the weaker teams, we should be beating them. So that should be a statement that we are going to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. A lot of times we come into seasons because the Knicks haven't been consistent enough for all of us. Oh, we got somebody else jumping in. ESQ's back. Oh, he's in there. So a lot of these previous seasons, um, you know, people were making statement games against us, which has not been that good, and it's been sad to watch. ESQ diving back in. Good to see you, my friend. So, right now we're just talking about this is a statement game, and I agree. So what we got? Yes, facts, absolutely. So as soon as ESQ gets back in, I'm sure he'll have some more tidbits to drop on us. Outside of that, you know, um, we got Zach LaVine with his off shooting hand, I think it is. He has a finger hurt. I'll take anything. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. If he wants to play, don't cry about it. If he has a bad game, Barrett needs to step out on him, try to lock him down as much as he can. I mean, Barrett needs to lock one of those guys down. Either one. I'll take either one, to be perfectly honest, you know? 1 second, guys. Here we go. We back? There we go. Trying to get all our guys in. Suppose they want to make a statement on us. LOS, not happening. I agree. Not happening today. You know? And if we can stick with that not happening and let everybody else know, then I think we can walk out of here with a W. But I think I said enough. I'm going to go wrap around, pass around the back. I'm going to dish it over here. Go ahead, buddy.
What I'm going to say, I get my score. I gave it, but I'm going to have a connection problem, so you might not have heard it. 117, 112. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get that. 117, 112.
Yeah. Nice. I don't know if you caught mine.
Show. We're going to put defense on those guys.
You're good. You were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm breaking up.
All right.
You're breaking up too, man.
Okay, that's it.
But listen,
Reception is hard.
I don't know if you're up for it after the game. If you want after the game, you get back on it.
Absolutely. I got no problem with that. If you want to do that 10 o'clock hour again, we can do that 10 o'clock hour. I mean, actually, it might be a little later because I predicted overtime, so it might be 10:30. So we'll see how it goes, but for sure. Yeah, whatever it is. I'm down for whatever time. Yeah, for sure. So with that being said, since you gotta go, I'm gonna go. We'll both get ready for this. Go Knicks. Salute to you. You want to take us out since you jumped on? Go ahead. Always the Knicks. Salute, my friend.
A couple of hours.
All right.
We still in a couple hours.
I look forward. Salute.